All right, the Week 15 recap. Wow, a lot of things changed this week, so let's get into it because we've got a ton, and I mean a ton, to talk about. First, we have the headlines, starting with Joe Burrow needs to leave the Bengals. At this point, it's just not going to work for him. Despite having incredible wide receivers like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, it's just not working out because his defense is one of the worst in NFL history. Joe Burrow's never going to win a Super Bowl with that kind of a team, and he keeps getting injured because that offensive line can't stop anything. He needs to go somewhere like Minnesota with a great coach, great offensive line, about the same caliber of wide receivers, and a great defense to help him when he's not being perfect Joe Burrow. Other places he could land would be Las Vegas or Arizona, but I don't think he would appeal to those places very much, and they're still pretty much rebuilding their entire roster. I just really don't want him to stay in Cincinnati because he's going to end up like another Andrew Luck, losing his love for the game due to injuries and poor team play. I don't want that to happen to him because he deserves to win a Super Bowl. Next, the Lions are the best team to not make the playoffs. It sucks that they're 8-6. They genuinely go toe-to-toe with the best in the league, and yet they can't make it in. They just haven't been able to win enough games and kind of got unlucky in the schedule-making process. I feel like they could beat most of the teams in front of them, but they're just too far in front of them to actually pass them. Like the Packers, the 49ers, and Seahawks, they're probably all locks in the wild card race unless one of them goes on a generational bad streak and the Lions win out. Despite that, they still have a large window to actually win a Super Bowl or at least get to a Super Bowl because they have most of their key players locked up for the next year. Next, the Broncos are unbeatable. They are on an 11-game win streak, and no matter how hard the team or easy the team, they're going to make it close and then win. They have struggled against the Jets, but they've also gotten comeback wins from the Eagles and the Packers and the Chiefs, all of which are pretty solid teams. Just think about the Giants game. They were down huge and scored 33 points in one quarter despite being shut out the rest of the game and won it, getting a 19-point comeback in only less than a quarter. How? Next, the Eagles broke the Chiefs. The Chiefs, ever since the Super Bowl this last year, have not been the same. Their signature devil magic has not been there. They've been losing most close games this season, and it all starts back at the Eagles game. They were going to the Super Bowl as heavy favorites. They looked invincible. They looked like they were going to three-peat. And then the Eagles just broke them offensively and defensively. It was a masterclass in absolute annihilation. And ever since, the Chiefs have been seeing injuries, bad play, huge drops, choked losses, and now Patrick Mahomes has torn his ACL. And that's going to severely hinder any chance they have of getting back to their dynasty ways, especially since Travis Kelce is likely going to retire this offseason, and Andy Reid is not getting any younger. So we'll have to see if Patrick Mahomes can carry it back to that glorious state once again. Finally, our main headline, the week of big injuries. I already kind of talked about the Patrick Mahomes ACL tear, which will dip into next season likely. But another ACL tear happened this week, and it was to Micah Parsons. And this was huge because the Packers were a Super Bowl contender, and now because their star defensive player is no longer there, one that they paid a ton of money for, it's going to be hard for them to be able to put any pressure on most teams this postseason. And there wasn't the only injury they had for the Packers. Christian Watson also went down after Pat Surtain got a huge interception to shift the momentum of the game. On the other side of the league, the Rams got Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams injured. Puka Nacua didn't have as bad of an injury, but he is still questionable. And Devontae Adams has a hamstring injury, and personally, I think they should sit him until the postseason because he is old. He has had hamstring injuries before. All of these Injuries have severely shifted the entire playoff landscape, with the Packers likely not even going to be in the discussion for a Super Bowl at this point, because their defense and their offensive weapons have just been absolutely thunderclapped. Even Tucker Kraft a few weeks ago also got injured for the whole season, and he was their best offensive weapon outside of Josh Jacobs. I don't see a way that the Packers can win a Super Bowl. I don't see the way that the Chiefs can win a Super Bowl next year even, because of that huge injury. It's going to be difficult for the Rams to recover from those big injuries, even if they aren't as severe. Next, we have our Week 15 awards, starting with the most improved team being the Buffalo Bills. This is the second week in a row that they have come back from huge deficits, and some may interpret that as them not being able to get good starts, and that could severely hinder their chances against good teams. Both of these were two really great teams. And the fact that they were able to stay resilient and stay locked in and able to win in those huge deficits shows me that they can win in basically any scenario, just like the Broncos. With them coming back from a 21-0 deficit after being absolutely beaten down for 1.5 quarters. Next, the biggest surprise is the Minnesota Vikings for 2 straight weeks, because they just got a huge win over Cowboys to essentially eliminate the Cowboys from playoff contention. And even though the Minnesota Vikings aren't going to make any noise this season, I feel like the Minnesota Vikings are really one elite quarterback away from possibly winning the Super Bowl next year. Next, our MVP was Trevor Lawrence, of all players. I was going to put him in surprise player, but I figured he was probably just the best player overall this week. He got 5 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown, 6 touchdowns total, to set a franchise game record for quarterbacks, which is insane for how inconsistent he's been this year. Will he be able to keep this up into the playoffs? I have no clue, because their offense has been very inconsistent, but against a solid defense in the Jets, even with Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner not being there anymore, they could make some noise offensively, and their defense has been holding up pretty strong as well. Next, our surprise player, instead of going to Trevor Lawrence, it goes to Kirk Cousins. He had a phenomenal game, especially towards the end, where he led a game-winning drive to score a field goal to win 29-28 at the Buccaneers' home field. And again, Kirk Cousins isn't going to be a consistently great quarterback ever again, but he will always show flashes, just like last year when he got 500 yards out of nowhere. He has a huge contract, and he doesn't strike me as someone who is ready to retire just yet, but I think this might be one of his last really great games. Next, our missed player of the week is Shedeur Sanders. Man, what happened? You went going 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in one game to now 3 interceptions. Doug, you can't do that, even though your offense is not great and the Bears' defense is incredible. You just can't be doing that if you want to prove yourself to be the franchise quarterback. Our Super Bowl prediction has changed once again, with it now being the Broncos over the Rams. The Broncos, like I have said, look like an absolutely unbeatable team, and that's why I have them winning the Super Bowl as of now. It could flip very quickly if the Bills keep up their hot streak, but I just don't think the Broncos can lose at this point. And the Rams had a great game versus the Lions, holding on offensively. While they did have a couple of injuries, and that's why they are not winning over the Broncos in this scenario, I do think that they will be able to make a deep playoff run. Our play of the week was Josh Jacobs' absolute moss of a catch over a Broncos defender, making sure that he can hold on while the guy is putting his entire weight onto one of Josh Jacobs' arms, while Josh Jacobs gets a full toe tap to score the touchdown. How did he do that? He's not a wide receiver. This is a running back. That is insane. Our blooper of the week is this absolutely bafflingly bad coverage by this linebacker from the Cowboys going down the completely wrong hole despite the entire back of the offense going the opposite direction and a hole going right down the middle. He decides to go to the right for some reason, and it becomes a free touchdown for the Vikings. This was in the part of the season where they had to win, and they didn't. And it was partly because of this, because this was a close game. Man, that just sucks. And that will be about it. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. My consistency of uploads will be getting better. I hope to get this video and the next video out before the Thursday night football game. And I hope you guys all enjoy your day and that Thursday night football game, because Rams and Seahawks is going to be peak cinema. See you guys.